Hello, welcome to the Opinionistics. I'm your host, John Malone, and we'll potentially have co-host joining us somewhere along the way, but if not, we may as well go with the flow. Introducing from Los Angeles, Bob Brill.
How you doing, bud?
Going great.
Good to be with you.
Nice. So, Bob, what do you mainly do for a living?
Well, that's kind of the question is today. Okay, I do a lot of things. My main job, the thing that pays the bills, is I'm a newscaster at an all news radio station in Los Angeles. I've been in radio journalism for 51 years now, and I'm also an author. I've written 13 books. I'm a podcaster. I have 3 podcasts. I'm a filmmaker. I've done 4 short films, and on top of that, I've done an award-winning documentary. And let's see, what else do I do? I sell baseball cards. What else? Is there anything else I can do today? So yeah, those are the things that I'm passionate about and things that I do.
Oh, okay, sounds good. And how long have you been for working in radio, being a filmmaker, and/or being a podcaster for?
Well, radio, like I said, I've been 51 years. I started right out of high school. I went to a 4-month class. At the time was Career Academy Broadcasting School, and I went here in Los Angeles at the time. And I went straight to work. I guess I was 19 when I got my first job, right out of high school, and been doing radio ever since. I had a baseball card store, a memorabilia store, for about 13 years while doing radio during some of that time. Um, as an author and a filmmaker, I wrote my first book back in 2009, and I actually started making films probably about 2018, but I started writing screenplays about 2010. And what got me into that was I own a lot of the rights, the name, to a long passed away burlesque queen who married a Major League Baseball player. And my goal was to tell their story. So I wrote a book. That was my first book, called Fan Letters to a Stripper. And then I wrote a screenplay, which we're still shopping. And now we're in the midst of, almost in completion, of doing a feature film type podcast called Major League Stripper. And it's the tale of their whole story with a lot of actors and sound effects. And so it's a radio. We're going to do 2 podcasts. We're going to do an episodic one where we have like 15 episodes, and then the same thing, but all the one shot all the way through. It's about 2.5 hours. So you can either listen to it that way, or you can listen to it episode by episode. But my first podcast we started doing, I want to say about 6 years ago. I started doing one called Interesting People with Bob Brill. And that one, it's still out there. I don't do it very often. I don't update it very often. But it was designed to interview people about their jobs, average people about their jobs, because I feel that everybody has an interesting job, whether you think you do or not. And then part of that, in March, I did 31 new shows, and those are all based on my radio career. Some of the things in life on the radio, some funny, some tragic stories I covered, famous people I interviewed, and incidents that happened, all kinds of cool stuff. One of them is called How I Saved Ronald Reagan's Life. And so there's another one, The Sound of Surf, which is a half-hour radio documentary that's up there. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. And then, I do a fantasy football podcast, an NFL football podcast with Eric Kramer, who was a former NFL quarterback. And we've been doing that for 5 years. So all those things put together, and making films and everything, a lot of it happening outside the radio career, all happening, I'd say, in the last 10 or 12 years.
Fabulous. That is quite a history. And I also heard you are also an author.
Yeah. Yeah, I've written 13 books. The one I mentioned to you, Fan Letters to a Stripper, that was my first book. That's a coffee table biography. It's a large format book, hardcover, beautifully done. Publisher in Pennsylvania published that. And then I've written 6 of what will be 10 Western novels based on a character I created in the 1880s called Lancer, Hero of the West. And I've got 4 more of those to write. I've written one memoir. It's sort of a sports book. I've written a couple of other novels. One called El Cabo, Homegrown Terrorist, set 25 years past Bin Laden and 9/11. And my latest book, which my publisher asked me to write a sequel to, which is being formulated right now, is called The Tattoo Murder. And it's a fictional crime detective story set in the coastal community of Ventura, California, where I used to live. And it's about a cop who surfs and is kind of a handsome guy. I guess if you put him in context, when it comes to his ladies and everything, he would be a local version of a James Bond character. And he's set in Ventura, Ventura Police Department. And he solves the one crime that they're trying to solve is a body washes up on the shore, a body that is kind of bloated, been out in the sea for a while. And he discovers that it's a biker. And then he has to not only solve the crime, but he also has to keep 2 warring biker gangs at bay from going to mattress, so to speak, or going to mat, what's how the old term used to be. So that's the latest book. But I've also written, like I said, the Westerns. I wrote one called No Barrier, How the Internet Destroyed the World Economy, which is a different take on the Internet and how the Internet sort of destroys things as it broadens things. It's an interesting read. Unfortunately, that book became outdated the day that I wrote it. So because the internet changes so fast, but it's still out there, and you can find those all on Amazon at the Bob Brill author page or my website, which is bobbrillbooks.com.
Fabulous. Is there anything in the next week, month, or year or so that you're planning on doing?
Wow, yes. A lot, actually. My goal is to get this feature film type podcast out before Christmas. The only thing we're waiting for now is the music. Most of the music is in. We have the songs. We're just, there's 2 original songs in it, and we're just finalizing those. Everything else is done. So we just got to pop those in once we get them recorded. And that should be hopefully the next few weeks, and we should have it out. I'd like to have it out by Thanksgiving, but might be a little aggressive. And the other couple of things that I'm working on at the same time are the sequel to The Tattoo Murder, which will be the Belt Buckle Murder, although I don't anticipate getting to that in probably the spring. And then the other one is the 7th book in the Lancer Hero of the West series, which is the Virginia City affair. And that I'm hoping to get to by late December. And if I get to it by late December, I should have it up by April. And then there's a couple of film projects that are sort of in the works. Nothing concrete yet. I know that what we're going to do with them, but I would say they're probably actually moving more toward midsummer.
Okay. Cool. What is your favorite season?
My favorite season has to be a tie between summer and spring. In Southern California, it's probably spring as opposed to summer, because it just gets so freaking hot here in the summertime. And because of climate change, we're experiencing longer periods of 100 plus temperatures. As a matter of fact, we hit 115, 117. And in the UK, the same time last year, you guys were hitting over 100 degrees, which was unheard of. and we're facing the same thing here. I love the springtime because baseball's in full bloom. Just getting started, so to speak, and excuse me. Summer, it's kind of laid back, and it's just the time to put the top down if you have a convertible and drive. And the beach is. I'm close to the beach. I'm not at the beach, but I'm 15 minutes from the beach, so it's always a great time. I never ever have liked the winter. I love the holidays, but as I get older, I like them less. But just the winter. I grew up early in my life in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we had a lot of snow in the wintertime and sledding and stuff. And while that was fun to do, it was also, I hated getting my clothes wet because of the snow. I just didn't like it that much. And the fall is the fall. It's kind of there, but summer and spring are kind of a tie for me.
Okay, sounds good. If magic was real, what spell would you try to learn first?
What was it that try to learn first? If magic was real?
If magic was real, what spell would you try to learn first?
Wow. I'm not a magic person, and I don't like card tricks, but I really can't answer that one for you. I'm sitting here thinking, and I love watching people like Shen Yun. No, not Shen Yun. You got one America's Got Talent, who's big in Vegas now. I love watching him and his card tricks. I guess maybe the mind thing, where you read people's minds and in the audience and things like that. I'd probably would go for that. I hate card tricks. I think card tricks are, just sleight of hand, and unless you Shen Lin and is the guy. That guy's just amazing. But outside of that, yeah, probably the mind games.
Okay, fair enough. What is the best way to start the morning?
Cup of coffee, a good walk, and finish it off with a shower, and then have breakfast.
Okay, sounds good. What hobby would you get into if time and money wasn't an issue?
The one I'm into now, trading and selling and buying and collecting baseball cards, and just trading cards, sports trading cards in general. I love it. I've been, it's been a huge part of my life since childhood, since I was about 6 years old. I still do it today. I just sold some old cards today for $175, and I love that part of it. I love the retail end of it. I used to have a card store, and that was just one of the most fun times of my life. I really I enjoy the numbers. I enjoy the buying, the selling, not so much the trading, but I do enjoy the buying, the selling. And like a lot of people, I consider myself a treasure hunter. I love finding that rare thing, that rare card, that rare coin, rare whatever, somewhere in the back of a box somewhere that maybe has been forgotten. And I love purchasing. It's a lot of fun. And when you can make the right deals and turn those deals into a nice profit, that makes it all the worthwhile.
Okay, nice. If you could add anyone to Mount Rushmore, who would it be?
Who would I add to Mount Rushmore? Well, not going to get religious. Who would I add to Mount Rushmore? Wow, that is a good one. My favorite baseball player, Bill Mazeroski. He's a great guy. He achieved quite a bit, never gets to heralding, and he's not a politician. He tried to be at one point, but as silly as that sounds, it'd be kind of cool because it would honor somebody who is never going to get the kind of honor. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and a lot of people slight him for that because they don't think he deserves to be there, but he does. And I guess if you were asking about a president, because they're all presidents, the one I would put up there would be James K. Polk. He was the 9th president of the U.S. He was a guy that he didn't want to be president. He got elected president sort of through a back door. He said, I'm going to serve one term. I'm going to do three things. And he set out to do those three things in 4 years. He did all three, went home, didn't run for re-election, went home and died a few months later. So phenomenal, short career as president. But, when you say you're going to do three things and you achieve those three things, and those three things were tremendously good for the country, that puts you in a different class. And he was humble, so to speak. As humble as you can be as president, I guess.
Okay, that's a good point. What was the last song you've listened to?
Oh, that one's easy. On the way home last night, Thin Lizzy, The Boys Are Back in Town.
Oh, interesting.
Boys are back in town, going to Dino's Bar and Grill, And I love that song. I'd only love that song because I just like the song. But I love that song because it comes in a great time in one of my favorite movies, and it happens in London. And that is, you know which one it was? If I ask you off the top of your head?
I don't think I have a clue.
Knight's Tale.
Oh,
it was the movie A Knight's Tale with Keith, can't think of his last name now, who died a few years ago, tragically. But they're coming back to London to compete in the games, and as they cross the bridge and they're parading through London, they're playing that song, "The Boys Are Back in Town." I love it. I just happened to listen to it on my way home from work last night. That was the last song I listened to.
Great. What three objects do you value the most?
Three objects?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it's a good one. Objects as opposed to people. So let's take a look. Objects, boy. Probably. I've got a few baseball cards, probably, and actually, yeah. I have an iron set of clippers, tree clippers. Just not electric or anything like that, which my father gave me, which were given to him by his father. And my grandfather was born about 1860. And it was, there's only two things I have from my father that I have kept over the years. One is that pair of clippers, which I still use occasionally to trim a bush or a tree or something like that. It's something you won't see ever anywhere, in modern day. And there's a little metal box that my father gave me that I value. And it's, you'd probably find it at a garage sale for $1. And I think those are two of the three things that I value the most. And I guess as far as objects go, I do have an autographed. I wrote an article about Bill Mazeroski, who I mentioned is my favorite player, and in a publication. And I sent him a copy, and for himself, and a copy for me, and for him to sign and send back. And he did. And it's framed. I'm looking at it right here on my wall. It's framed, signed to me, and it's one of my prized possessions. It's not worth any more than probably $30, $40. Probably all three of those things are probably not worth more than $100 total. But those, when you ask about things that are prized and possessions, those would be it.
Fabulous. What were the silliest things you believed as a child?
The silly things I believed as a child?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Well, you're putting some good ones on me today. Let's see. Silly thing I believed as a child. I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. There you go. That was my whole goal in life. I wanted to play Major League Baseball. And as you can see, a lot of my life is centered around that sport. And one of my books, including. I, up until about till about I was 18. I was injured a couple of times, and I saw that I was not progressing as fast as I needed to, and I could see where my skills were going to top out, and there wasn't anything I could do about that. The harder I worked or whatever, I just didn't have that skill to reach that level. So yeah, that was. But it wasn't. It was a dream that I'd hoped to accomplish as a child. But you know, one in a million kids, practically, I think it's about the figure that makes it to the major league level, and that's not quite as bad as winning the lottery, but there it is.
All right. Okay. Sounds good. What's your favorite ice cream topping?
Oh, topping. Um, Favorite flavor is vanilla. So I guess my favorite topping is not sprinkles. I don't like sprinkles. I do like nuts and probably peanuts because peanuts are salty and I do like the salty versus the sweet cold taste of ice cream.
Okay. Sounds good. If you had to bury a treasure chest, where would you hide it?
I missed the first part of that. You broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. If you had to bury a treasure chest, where would you hide it?
Oh, a treasure chest. Where would I hide it? Well, if I told you, then I wouldn't be able to bury it someplace where nobody would find it, right?
I suppose so.
Let's see. I would probably, you'd want to bury it someplace where you'd remember. And to be honest with you, every time I put something in a place that I know I'm never going to forget, I always forget. So probably not in the desert. Probably in if it was this top secret thing that I had to never ever have anybody find but me, probably out in the Arizona, California desert, uh, off the road that is off the 10 freeway, I guess it is. And there's some mountainous areas there, but it's off Sizzix Road, which is CZZZYCZ or something like that. It's a very famous road, but it just goes out into the desert. And I would probably find a place out there somewhere. That'd probably be a good idea.
Oh, okay. That's good. If you had to lose one of your senses, which one of those senses would you choose to lose?
Probably, probably the sense of smell. I mean, my hearing's starting to go a little bit, with everything I do, my hearing and my sight and my voice and touch are all probably much more important than my sense of smell because I type and I write and I broadcast, so and I have to see what I'm writing. So yeah, I would think a sense of smell would be the one that I would give up.
Oh, okay. Seems like a good idea.
Yeah, the thing about giving up a sense of smell is you can't smell all the bad stuff in the world. Of course, you can't really. I'm not sure how that would affect your taste buds, and I'm a foodie, so I'm not sure how that would work. That might be a little tough. But I think if you give up the sense of smell, the only danger you have is smelling gas. If you smell gas and you can't smell gas and there's a gas leak, you could find yourself dead very quickly. But you could also realize if you're falling prey to gas, there's something wrong. So I think sense of smell is probably the least important of the five.
Okay. Okay, I can see that. So, what's the weather like where you are today?
Rainy. We're just getting a couple of series of storms coming in, and started last night, and will last through Wednesday. Tuesday is election day, and we know you know, it's not a good thing for election day because you want a heavy turnout. And although a lot of people vote early anyway, and you just don't want a rainy day on election day because you get a lot of older people that say, "Oh, I'm not going to go out, or a lot of even young people. So, but it's supposed to last through Wednesday morning. So it's not a good time for us to get some rain, although it's never a good time for us not to get rain. So.
Of course. What product would you seriously stockpile if you found out that you weren't going to sell it anymore?
Toilet paper.
Okay. Fair enough.
I wrote a script called The Toilet Paper Murders. And it's about the pandemic, so that's an easy one.
Oh yeah, of course. If you can get an exotic pet, what kind of companion would you like to have?
I probably wouldn't. I'm not into exotic pets. The only pets I would ever have and have had are dogs. I love dogs, and I'm not into any of the other things. I hate reptiles. I hate, that type of thing. I'm not a monkey person or a primate person, so I'm not sure that I would even consider that. Matter of fact, I know I wouldn't consider it. So I have to answer your question with a non-answer.
All right, fair enough. I understand that. And that's all we have for this episode. It was great having you here, Bob, talking about your work as a podcaster, your radio work, and baseball cards. That's a good one, and everything else has been amazing.
It's good to be with you. I really appreciate the time, and it was fun. Haven't done a podcast like this forever.
Fabulous. And until next time, stay opinionated.